Hi, guys. So, today we are talking about emotional intelligence and how to gain it. All right. So, before I jump into that, I just want to share a couple things with you on what I feel and I've assessed over, my life about us as a whole and our emotions and how they are expressed and why we express them the way we have always done. Okay, so one reason is because, well, I can't speak for any other country, but here in North America, when we're raised to kind of control our emotions, especially when we are feeling emotional. We're expressing sadness, we're crying as a child, we're told to automatically stop crying. What are you crying for? Versus our guardian, our parents, trying to find the cause of the issue so that we can stop feeling a certain way versus just stop crying altogether. And I really saw this as a child. I know you have to, especially with males, with little boys. Stop crying. You're a big boy. Holding all your emotions. Don't cry at all. As a child, I hardly ever cried. Not because I didn't have reasons to. I just never did. And that's not good. But we're told to control our emotions well until we are like young adults, adolescents. Don't express yourself in this manner, do this. And so that sort of mind programming alters us as a whole, and it affects us gravely as we become adults. And why is that? Well, we don't know how to self express. Our emotions are misconstrued and misunderstood. And we become adults, and especially here again in the States, we are known, we are like avids for like putting on a smile and suppressing what we truly feel when someone asks you, how are you doing today? I mean, I just never could understand why people just won't express how they feel. Like, is something wrong with that? I mean, I'm never gonna lie to myself. It's like the saying goes, lying to yourself is the greatest lie ever told, or something like that. No, I'm not lying to myself or to you or anyone else. You're not that special. So if someone asks me, I'm going to tell them exactly how I'm feeling in that moment. And I feel like I have that right. Why not? A guy asked me a while ago, how was I feeling? And I was like, I'm feeling bitchy. I was a bit irritable, in a mood. I was moody. I'm moody by nature, so it was just a mood. And then when I asked him how he was doing, and he expressed by saying, I'm exhausted. I need a break. I can't wait for my vacation next month. Now, you see, because I was able to open up to him in an honest manner, he reciprocated. And I respect that. I have very little respect for someone who just won't tell me how they feel. Like, come on now. I know you've been depressed for the past 5 years. You cannot tell me that you're feeling okay every time. you know so, and I think that's where we fall into that trap of not really knowing how to hone in on our emotions and then express them, articulate in a manner to where they are understood. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about 5 ways of becoming emotionally intelligent. Okay, there are other ways, there are other methods to utilize and to grow into becoming more intelligent in this manner. There are, but here are just a few basic ways I'm going to share with you. It doesn't take a lot of work, but it does take an effort. All right. And first, we want to talk about being able to identify what it is that you're feeling in that moment. In that moment. All right. We live from moment to moment. So you want to identify what it is that you're feeling, regardless of what the situation is. It could be an experience you're having in the workplace, with your friend, with your lover. You have to take a minute to identify, is it hurt that you're feeling? And then the cause of that. What's causing that? A lot of times we like to misplace our emotions. And the reason why we do that is because we don't process what it is that we're feeling. Once you identify what that emotion is, you process. There are many emotions. So you have to process what you're feeling in order to get to that next step. Now that next step is, well, it's a little harder for most people because now you have to express what it is that you're feeling. It doesn't always have to be vocally. It could be your body language, eye contact, your tone of voice. You know, it doesn't always have to be that. But what typically happens because we don't know how to manage our emotions and we lose control over that, well, we have the tendency to default and give mixed signals. And then that's where the confusion lies. That's where the confusion begins and come into play. Now both parties are confused, and that's where you get that whole controversy, that misunderstanding going back and forth, because now you're feeling this way, but you're displaying that number one default emotion that we have, anger. We always resort to that for some reason. Now, why is that? We're not intelligent enough to just sit and hone in on that one emotion and deal with that going forward. We'll talk more about how to manage our emotions. Firstly, before I do that, let me give you a prime example of what I mean by that, by sharing my experience, especially on this whole self-love journey, growing, trying to evolve, becoming a better version of myself. Let me go back to my 20s when my emotional intelligence was just void. It was you know, it needed a lot of work. I'll say that. And the reason why that is because it just goes back to my childhood. You know, I had a very unhappy childhood. In my opinion, I was unhappy. And when that happens, it kind of manifests into something bigger, like anger. And that follows you in your adolescence all the way into your adulthood. Now you're displaying the wrong types of emotions when you should be feeling otherwise, yeah? And so at one point, for a short period, I didn't let it fester too long. I was like the road rage queen. Like, there was no way that someone would get behind me and ride my ass, my bumper, and then hop in front of me as if I'd done something to them and think they would get away with that. That was just like, I don't care if I had people in the car with me, and I usually did. I know, it's so bad. But I dealt with it. Trust me. Fast forward to now, a few weeks ago, I had someone pull out in front of me, saw me coming. I could have went there. I could have gone there, but I had identified what I was feeling. Now, what was that? That was a trigger for me. Now, why was that a trigger, Kara? This individual does not know that I and my friends on our way to a club on the highway one night was hit 90 miles an hour by a drunk driver. They don't know that. And then me having 7 or 8 accidents thereafter. The most recent one in December of 2019. That person does not know that. What I'm feeling is scared, like immediate fear in that moment. So what I do, because they don't know that I've had those experiences and that I'm capable of giving them 5 minutes of pure road rage hell. They don't know that. Chill out, Kara. Let it go. Give it 10 seconds. That individual will be out of your life because they have no knowledge of, and you will never see them again. And if you do, you probably won't even remember them. Relax. Nothing happened. Have no thoughts about it. No emotions. Move on. I was actually on my way to the spa, so I was already chill anyway. But because I was able to hone in on my feelings and what that trigger was, now what should I do? Think nothing of it, because that person doesn't know. Now, had I put them over and say, look, you can't do that to certain people. You just can't do that, period. You know, Some people out here, I won't call it PTSD. I'm not afraid of driving, but I'm just concerned about those that can't. They don't know how to. So yeah, so that's what we're talking about. And that takes practice. That's the key, people. In order to manage how you feel, being rational, and then reacting in a positive manner takes practice. And I'm proud of myself for being able to do that every time. It's been a while since I had any experiences. I have little people do things every now and then, but it's not even worth it. Like, you have to know why you shouldn't react in a certain manner. And that also goes back to your maturity level as well. I can't do what I did then now and think I would get away with it. Yikes. Oh, where would I be? I can't risk my livelihood for that. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, why do we need to have that? Well, we need to have that. It is of great importance because we want to know what we're feeling and being able to articulate that in a manner to others so that we are understood. There's no misunderstanding. And a lot of times, guys, when you begin to grow into a better version of yourself, you have a clearer mindset. You're not allowing your little demons, your shadow side, that dark side. Oh yeah, it's always there. I'm capable of doing anything that I've done before. We're all capable. It lies dormant, which is why it's good to manage that. But when you don't let your faults and your demons become bigger than you are, you can see clearer. So by you knowing what you're feeling and the other person is not identifying that with you, or they're not understanding, or they're not even want to hone in on that same energy with you, they need work as well. Because many times that type of person, they'll deflect and try to manipulate the situation to where, and it's like, no. Now you know what you need to do in regard to them, friends, whomever. Yes, you may not need them in your life anymore because if they're not on your level, growth-wise, well then, what's the point of arguing? What's the point of arguing with a fool? Because if someone's in the background watching two people go back and forth, not getting anywhere, just misunderstanding each other, they're going to think both of you are fools. So someone is going to have to be the bigger person, the one who is a bit more emotionally intelligent, has that intellect to make a conscientious decision. Yeah. So we want to be able to communicate effective. And so we can have positive reactions and outcomes, and knowing how to remedy a situation, like really knowing what should I do about the way I feel. You can't wallow in anxiety and melancholy forever. There has to be a point to where you say, what am I going to do about the way I feel? What can I do about that? There's something that I can do to help the situation, even if it's been diagnosed. I would say that it's not going to go away that easily. What can I do to make it better so that I'm better understood, so that I feel better, and so that I now know how to communicate? And when we become that way, we become more self-aware. See, when you know what you're feeling and you feel as though you can articulate that in a manner to where it's not misconstrued, you can now communicate. You become self-aware of that. And your behaviors, you react differently. And it's just all for the better good. So, yeah. Unfortunately, many of us, we don't have that emotional stability. We don't have that capacity. And when two people of the same meet, they're going to have problems. There's a lot of that going on. And it's, like I said, it comes from how we were raised, how we were programmed to be. But this is why it is of great importance for you to go ahead and begin to work on yourself. Is it easy? Not that quite, but it takes willingness and a strong will, a lot of dedication, and self-determination to want to grow, so you can just understand what you're feeling and not misplace your emotions and default to that red zone. We don't want that, guys. Okay, well, I thought I'd share that with you all. We're going to leave that right there. I thank you for joining me always. That is all for now, my loves. Until next time.